In this video, I'm going to explain and break down the light setup I used to get this shot right here in details. And I'm not only going to explain it, I want to tell you why I made certain decision or the reason why I did certain things in the shot. And not just that, I want to break down my settings, my camera settings, the type of lens I use for you guys, so that if you want to get this type of images in your studio, it's going to be easy for you to replicate. Now, before we get started, I want to like this video and also share this video to a photographer who you think might learn something from this video. Let's jump right into it. The first decision I made for this shoot was the backdrop. So the type of backdrop you use determine how your image is going to turn out. So your backdrop is very important. This backdrop was sent to me by Real Magic and I decided to use it for this shoot. And the first thing I noticed about this backdrop was the gradient color. It was really beautiful, and also I love the textures, and that is what I decided to use for this shoot right here. Now for this image right here, I use a 4 light setup, as you can see from the behind the scene. And these are the 4 light setup right here. So let me just put the image side by side so I can break it down. So basically the same setup I use for this image. All right, so this light setup right here is the same light setup I use for this image right here. So let's break it down. The first light I'm going to be talking about is our key light. Very important. So this light right here is our key light. And my key light is a Godox 8600, and I'm just using this to illuminate my subject. You can see I'm putting it from this angle. I'm not putting it directly to the subject. It's just coming down here and just lighting up our subject like this. So the key light is what is lighting the subject, as you can see like this. So all those lights just lighting the subject is our key light coming from this 8600 right here. Now this my key light is placed on a lantern softbox, as you can see. Now the reason why I place my key light on a lantern softbox is because I want the light to be soft and I want it to spread. As you can see on the subject, the light is looking soft and it's spreading all over the subject. So that is what I wanted. Okay, now if you look at this side of this image, you can see I have another light right here, and I place this light on an umbrella softbox. And this light right here is our fill light. So this fill light right here, I'm just using it to open up the shadows of this image. All right, so I place it in front of the subject, not directly on the subject, as you can see. I place it in front of the subject just to fill the shadow. So that's why you can see from this image, there are no shadows on this other side, or even if there are shadows, the shadows are really soft. So that fill light is what is making this part of the image look bright and also not too dark. So as you can see right there. So that is the function of my fill light. All right, and also my fill light is placed on an 8600 as well. Now you can see the reason why I have a fill light is to fill the shadows, and my key light is to illuminate my subject. Now you start to see the function of each light. I don't just put there because I want to use more light. I actually place the light right there with intentions because I want the light to fill the shadow. Now, what you should take note of, my key light is always stronger than my fill light, because remember, it's to fill. I'm using it to fill the shadow. I don't want it to overpower my key light. So, for instance, if my key light power is 1/16, I can decide to set my fill light to about 1/64 or 1/32, depend on the power I am going for or the intensity of light I want. All right, so that's the point. The point is, make sure your key light is higher than your fill light. All right. For my third light, if I zoom in on this image, you can see we have like a shine of light on the hair, as you can see. So this is done with a speed light. If I zoom in on this other image right here, this is the light right here. So on this speed light, I just add a cone and a grid. Now the reason why I added a cone and a grid is for me to be able to control and direct the lights to only where I want it to be. Now if I don't have a grid or a cone on my hair light, it's just going to spread all over the place and it's not going to look flattering. But since I want it control, I want it to be on a specific part of the image. That's why I use a grid to limit the spread of that particular light. So that's what you should pay attention to. If you want to use an hair light, make sure you're actually controlling it. So you can use a grid or a cone, or rather a grid and a cone, just like I did. Our hair light is just coming from this direction and just illuminating the hair of the subject. So that is what is illuminating the hair of the subject from this image. So it's coming from the top and it's just lighting the hair of our subject. Also, part of that light falls on the shoulder. That's the light you're actually seeing, like a rim light right here. So it's the highlights coming from that particular place, as you can see. Now, why did I choose to add highlights to this image when I can just use my key lights and my fill lights to just take the image and I'm good? Well, the reason why I decided to add the highlights is to separate my subject from the background. And not just that, the reason why I do that is to add more depth to the image and just make the image look more appealing, more dramatic. That is the reason why I do that. Now, let me explain my fourth light. Now, if you look at this image right here, you can see this yellow light coming from the back. This is the light right here. So it's another speed light. And this time, I just added a gel and a coal on it. So I added a yellow gel on this light right here. So you can choose to call this light right here our background light. So for our background light, I just use this to create more separation between the subject and the background, and also to add a mood to the image, as you can see from this image right here. All right. Now let me show you a picture without the background light and another picture with the background light. Now tell me, which picture do you think look more interesting and has more depth and more richness? Be truthful. Obviously, it's the one with the background light. Now, that is the function of the background light right here. Now, I can decide to shoot this image without the background light, but as you can see from the example I just gave you, without that background light, the image is going to look as if it's missing something, actually. And that background light just creates more depth, makes the image more interesting, it adds moods to the image, and everything just comes together pretty well. Now let's talk about the camera I use and also my camera settings and also the lens I use. So I use the Nikon Z5 to shoot this image, and I use 85mm for some image, and I also use the 35mm on some image. Now if I just go to my capture one, and for this image right here, my ISO is on 1/60th of a second, my shutter speed is on 1/25 of a second, and I use an f-stop of 1.8, and I use the 85mm. Same thing for this image right here, the same settings as you can see. Now, if you have a question on why I decided to use f1.8 on a studio, it's because I want to get that soft look. As you can see from these images, you can see how soft the image is. You can see the blurriness from this particular image. If I use f7.1 or f8, I will not be able to get this effect right here. You can see how blurry this flower she's holding is and how soft the entire image is. Also, back to this image, you can see how focused only the face is because I focus on the face. And if I start to move all the way down, you can see part of the neck is a little bit blurry because it's soft. And also, this part right here of the hand is looking blurry and also soft. So that is the look I was going for. But if I want the entire image to be that sharp, I would have used 7.1. So that is the reason why I decided to use f1.8. Now for this image right here, I use ISO 50, and my shutter speed is on 1/200th of a second, and I use f1.4, and the lens I use is 35mm for this image right here, while I use the same settings for this image right here. ISO 50, shutter speed of 1/200th of a second, and aperture of f1.4 with the 35mm. So that is my camera settings. Now I want to point out something very important. If you are setting the power of your light, there is no perfect number. Just set your light, and if you have a light meter, you can use it to read it, but we are in Nigeria, obviously. We do tests, so take a picture, look at it, and see what works for you. Once you get the light, first of all, okay, turn off all the lights you want to use. I think I'm going to be doing a lighting video very soon, but first of all, just turn off all the lights you want to use and turn on just your key lights and take a picture. Once your key light is properly exposed to your subject, you can then handle your fill light to fill any part of the shadow. If there is no need for fill light, you can use a reflector and others to fill the light, and then turn on your headlight or maybe your rim light, any other light. Just test it, then turn on your asset light or your background light, just that. But don't test all the lights together. Do it one at a time. I hope you learned something from this video. I sincerely hope you do. And if you do, make sure to like this video and also share this video to a photographer who you think might learn something from this video as well. And if you want to learn how I retouch this image from start to finish, check out this video right here. I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay creative.